everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Bloodborne the Board Game. This is the Hunter Dream expansion. So this is actually going to be a very different one. Not very different, but it's interesting. So we got a couple of really cool new mechanics in here. So we are going to get two new bosses, two new enemies, but then we're also getting a bunch of hunters. We have 8 hunter enemies. So it's a little bit different, because these enemies aren't just standard enemies. They're all more difficult, and they're technically mini-bosses. So they're played a little bit differently in the game. We'll look at that in just a moment. We are also going to get a side chapter in here as well, The Hunt's End. So we'll get that as well, so we'll go through that. And I'll do that in a second video like I do all the other ones. Just that way, if you don't want spoilers for that. Although it's always an inherent spoilers anytime you play anything, because this also has the boss, one of the final bosses of the game is in this box. So I will heads up on that too. If you don't want spoilers for the enemies or whoever's the final boss of the game, other than if you stopped and read the back of the box already, which you can see, there is that. But I'm not going to do that wait at the end of the video or separate them. I'm just going to do the enemies I'm going to do all the hunters. I'm going to do all the enemies first, but since all the hunters are enemies, I'm just going to do them in the same row. Then we're also going to do, towards the end of the video, do the Hunter Dream Extra Expansion, which just adds more hunter mini-bosses to fight against. So we'll definitely look at that. So there's a lot of really cool, interesting stuff in here. So one thing we want to look at first is we have a brand new tile. We have the garden, just boss fight area. Very simple, nine tiles. On the other side, we have the workshop, which is going to have a couple of enemies, consumable, insight token, and it says messenger bath. Interact with the space to discard any number of blood echoes. Choose and gain that many consumables from the deck/discard pile. So yeah, you can I think the idea is because normally during the game while you're playing it, the board game, when you die, you go to the Hunter's Dream for a turn. And this is kind of setting you back to your reset point, where you can then turn your stuff and level all your stuff up. This is kind of this is sending you the workshop that's, I think, in the Hunter's Dream or right outside the Hunter's Dream. I can't remember where exactly it's located. So it's kind of a mini extra. So I'm assuming this will be unlocked during the campaign, but not a regular tile to use. Alright, so what do we have in here? So we want to look at a couple of the new things in here. First of all, there's the bonus chapter, The Hunt's End. The Hunter's Dream expansion includes a bonus chapter called The Hunt's End. After players have completed a campaign, they may select the player's bonus chapter using the hunters they have selected during the campaign. So, we've had 2 other expansions that have bonus campaigns that get added after a different chapter. So you can play them after Chapter 1 or Chapter 2 to kind of beef you up. This is played after a campaign is done. It is meant to be after you've beaten the final boss of a campaign, here's an additional little mini campaign to go fight the final boss, the real boss of the game. So I think I don't know what order you're supposed to get off the top of my head, where it's just to play all the different modes in. But if you just bought this in the core set, I'd probably recommend you could then play after any of the campaigns, but maybe play campaign all 4 campaigns and then play this last. Because again, it's supposed to, from what I'm reading on the internet, it's supposed to be the final chapter of the story, at least until they get to the Old Hunters expansion DLC, which if they ever release more content to this game, that's what that would be. Alright, then the next 2 things we have mini-bosses. Hunter's Dream expansion also includes mini-bosses. You may get any chapter of any campaign. They greatly create additional difficulty. To incorporate mini-bosses, you're going to first create a mini-boss spawn deck. So you're going to have this mini-boss spawn deck, which you have all these different cards in here, which is going to be filled up with 2 things. Either nuns, which nothing happens, or one of the enemies in this game. So one of the 2 base enemies, or one of the 8 hunters, so there's 10 different mini-bosses in here. Technically 12, because there's 2 for each of the 1 characters, the regular enemies. It says randomly select any number of mini-bosses, displaying the image of a mini-boss. We recommend using 2, but you may use more or less. Add any number of mini-boss spawn cards, say none, until it equals the total number of tiles. This is your boss list. Shuffle and place next to the hunt board. So then each time a new tile is revealed after it's populated, connected to the map, Hunter moves onto the space, flip card from the mini-boss spawn deck. If it says none, nothing happens. It reveals a mini-boss, spawn the matching mini-boss on that Hunter's space. So yeah, if you're playing with a total of 10 tiles in the deck and you have 2 Hunters, 8 none cards. So only 2 of them spaces are going to have mini-bosses. And again, you could get unlucky and get both of them right in a row, or you might end up avoiding both of them if you don't explore every tile. Mini-boss activates punching just like regular enemies. The only exceptions are they're not removed from the map on refresh, instead they heal. Because they don't respawn in a new location, they just stay where they are. And when mini bosses slain, it grants 1 blood echo plus a special reward or firearm listed at the bottom of their cards. This can lead to 2 copies of the same reward being available to the hunters. So in the core game, all of the regular reward cards you get from the chapters and stuff, there's only 1 copy of each. There's a few that duplicate in other expansions during the campaigns. This is just another way to potentially get extra additional ones. You're going to have 2 tools and 2 ruins. When slaying, mini bosses do not respawn, and affected by fog gates are removed just like any other enemy. So if you're on a tile and you interact with something and it resets it to, or you enter a new location and adds a fog gate, they can't follow you around. So yeah, it's a very interesting, cool idea, is that they're just extra enemies you can fight. You can pop up and make the game a little bit harder. There's a couple of campaigns that occasionally have an enemy spawn that becomes a little bit more difficult because of that. These are just dedicated ones. It's also neat that they're all the hunters. So another cool thing, and we'll when we get into it then, which we have 8 hunters, so it's 4 from the core box, and then 4 from the Chalice dungeon set. So it's the 8 that are available in retail. The Hunter's Dream expansion, which we'll look at the end, adds an additional, I think, 7 of them. And they are the 6 that are in the Kickstarter exclusive Blood Moon box, and then 1 that was in the Forsaken Canehurst Castle Kickstarter box. So like the Hunters, this Kickstarter expansion adds upon those expansions. But what's nice though is you don't have to have those other 2 expansions to use these guys if you don't want to. So there's a lot of content to go in here, so let's go ahead and hop into it. So one other thing we just wanted to mention with this, as we look at these enemies, is I'm just going to pop one up here quick, and I can kind of talk about it. Zoom in a little bit better for us. So we have the Executioner. So below their health bar, they're going to have a little like cane or symbol like that. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to be, but that's to indicate that they are a mini-boss. So inevitably a big question that would come up, at least I questioned it, but I didn't see anyone else on Board Game Geek asking it. What I was looking for is, could you use these characters as regular enemies? Just to make a harder game or throw one in? It's not to say you couldn't, but since your typical enemies have somewhere between 2 to 5 health on average, and these guys all have 10. So if you threw one of them in there, and then one guy occasionally spawns more often than others, obviously it'd make the game a little bit more tricky versus just having a mini-boss that just randomly spawns on top of the enemies, where you might have to fight them multiple times. It could make it a little bit more challenging, but it might also make it way too hard if they're spawning too many times. Also on that note, because all the regular enemies for the most part have 4 miniatures, so if you activate multiple tiles, especially playing like a 3-4 player game, you might have some spawn in one tile, some spawn in another. Since these guys only have 1 miniature each, with the exception of the non-hunters who have 2 each, like the Executioner here, if you activated more than 1 tile, they wouldn't be able to spawn. They'd like if you're not standing next to them, or they have to respawn and they wouldn't be in their location. So that might kind of mess up that a little bit too. So I would generally just stick using them as mini bosses. And I wouldn't throw them in the first game either. Sorry, let's go ahead and take a look at these. We'll look at all the mini bosses. Look at the 2 generic. I think now we're going to the bosses and then look at the hunters afterwards. So you have executioners. We do have 2 miniatures of these. I like the idea of the hunters in general too, just because it's like it could be like other players that could play the game that come in and decide to attack you. I don't know if that's an actual thing in the game. I know you can like read messages from other characters, but I don't know if you ever have to worry about somebody else trying to destroy you. So it's basic axe chop, 2 speed, 3 damage. Special is his headbutt, fast speed, 3 for 2 damage, stagger, and stun. Ability, charge swing. Executioner makes 1 axe chop attack, then his attack suffers -1 speed, but deals 3 damage. So cool, so he makes axe chop for slow speed, but for 6 damage is dead. So if he hits you, you're done. When slain, the hunter receives the bloodstone shard. So then we'll have all our different cards here. So we had 8, 9, 10 enemies. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we have 10, 11 rewards. So we should have had, 11. Because I think the one guy gives you 2 different ones. So if we flip him over to his other side, he's still going to give you the bloodstone. I do think they still had him have both sides. They could have easily just made them like, here's one more difficult side character, kind of like the NPCs are. He keeps axe chop. He keeps his axe. He has grab and slice. Hunter must dodge at medium speed, or their attacks staggered and they are reduced to 1 HP. And then axe thrust. Executioner makes 1 axe chop. The attack gains +1 speed and stun. So the other one he goes slower. This one he goes faster. We'll look at the rewards at the end because they're basically they're all the same ones from the core. I don't believe there's anything new. But let's go ahead and take a look at our Winter Lantern. This is our other new enemy. And drop this down. This is like a weird brain blobby creature. Like most of these things, it looks like they've possessed a person. And they're coming out of him. So that's a very interesting thing for the Bloodborne world. It's like all these like weird, messed up creatures. But lots of the times, it's like they possessed the residents of Yharnam. So Winter Lantern has Sing. All hunters in 2 spaces suffer Frenzy. If they're already frenzied, they suffer 2 damage. Special Grab. Fast speed for 2 damage. Stagger stun if the hunter's frenzy does an additional 2 damage. And ability is Discordant Song. Winter Lantern makes 1 grab attack. If the hunter is frenzied, they cannot dodge. And when it's slain, you get the Carl Ruin of Guidance. And if we flip to the other side, we have Sing again, we have Special Grab, and we have Disordinate Songs. I think they have the exact same abilities on both sides, but instead you get the Carl Ruin Eye Reward. So I'll make sure those are the exact same. Yep. Yeah, so this is one where you didn't get different things, but you hands out a different reward. So that could also be very interesting for what you're getting in there. Because one reward is going to give you return a card from your discard. The other one lets you remove stuff. So yeah, very, very interesting. Alright, let's take a look at the bosses quick. So again, obviously a little bit of a spoiler here, but if you're looking at an unboxing, that's what you're kind of getting yourself into. Is we have the Moon Presence. This is a big giant baddie. Look at 36 health. That's nuts. But then I get the second one now, he drops down to 12. But still, 36 plus 12, 48 health. That's kind of crazy. So here is his miniature. A little bit bigger miniature, like brambling vines, the weird twisted face, open rib cage. And if, I'm just going to grab a hunter here. So if we compare them to the size of a hunter, because these hunters are the same size as regular hunters. Alright. So what is Moon Presence? We do have our Phase 1 and Phase 2 cards. Let's see what their attacks are. We're going to start with Blood Moon Orb. The hunter must dodge at fast speed or they gain 1 insight token, a Blood Moon Orb. Remove this token at the end of the round. Without this token, their stack card loses all effects except dodge and stagger, unless it is the last card of the deck. Shuffle this card back into boss action and flip another boss action. Interesting. So while they have that token, they can only dodge and stagger. They don't get their extra cards. We have charge. After a hunter's attacked, unless their attack staggers, the moon presence move moon presence 3 spaces away. All hunters in this space a left move through or endgame must dodge at slow speed or suffer 3. Great One's Influence. Medium speed, 3 damage, stagger. After the attack, if they dealt any damage to a hunter with an insight token, Blood Moon Orb, remove that token and heal it for 1 for each damage dealt. Tendril Lashing. Medium speed and 2 damage. Targets all hunters in 1 space. Hunters with the insight token can only dodge in medium slots. And Slam. Slow speed for 4. Stun. Cannot be staggered by hunters with the insight token. I like that. That's a cool effect. This again would be one of these abilities I think would have been obviously be hard to do on regular enemies because they probably wouldn't stick around too long. But this could even be something where, again, you might theme it onto different characters or add like I've talked about a ton of other videos, like the Chalice Rites add in the Chalice dungeons that add extra difficulties, adding something like mechanic simulators. I don't know how it would work exactly, but basically the idea of like if more characters had some ability that if they did this thing, like we have stuff, if they're poisoned, they get more poison, if they're frenzied, does an extra thing. This is the same idea, right? If they have this status effect of the Blood Moon Orb, extra things happen. So that'd be kind of a neat idea to even have for some of the other things. Alright, in Phase 2, we have Doom Burst. All hunters space are reduced to 1 HP. Hunters' attacks deal a maximum of 1 damage. Oh, that is mean. Doom Gaze. All hunters are reduced. Or hunter is reduced. This one said all hunters, right? Yeah, this is just the one hunter. Their attack is deal with maximum 1 damage. Flip another boss action. Desperate Slam. Slow speed for 5 damage stun. Cannot be staggered. Hunter dodges. Their attacks deal +1. All other hunters in space must dodge 1 or suffer 2 damage. Desperate Swipe. Slow speed or medium speed for 5 damage. Hunter's attack staggers, deals 1 damage. If Hunter dodges, their attack deals 1 damage. And then we have Desperate Swipe again. So cool. So yeah, basically it's like their big threatening character, and then their second form, they're a lot weaker, but they're still trying to just frenzy slash you. But they can do that thing, it can drop your attack down to 1, your health down to 1. Which the only reason that would even make any amount of difference, because obviously both of his other 3 attacks do 5 damage, right? And if you only have 6 health, that means obviously he has to hit you once to take you out. Like he could have just done 1 health deal and it wouldn't have mattered. But if he would have done 1 damage with the assumption of next attack he does 5, which would kill you, you'd have to heal 1 in the meantime, and then now you'd have to hit you a second time. But if he drops you down to 1 HP, you'd have to heal all 5 of them HP back up to 6, otherwise he's going to take you out. That's pretty cool. Alright, then we have our other boss, who is Yharnam, the first hunter. So Yharnam has 40 HP. He has no alternate form. So you flip him over, it's just 40, just 40. He doesn't get to switch around. He has 1 big giant deck. But here is him. He has the Cane Scythe. It's obviously like a little gear in there. I love that, so you can show that it's kind of could flip shut. And he got his rifle on his back, because of course he's a hunter, the first hunter. So if we compare him to like the box art main hunter, it's a little bit bigger. Usually the hunters are, but he has a very similar thing. So where he has the saw blade, his is a scythe. So you kind of see that very similar type of weapons. Well, it looks like his is upgraded, right? So he gets a little bit better upgrade stuff. Alright, and then what does he do for us? He has, Transform Weapon. Shuffle Jeremy's Burial Blade Transformed Action Deck. Oh. So he has his regular Burial Blade deck, and then he has his Transformed Blade deck. I didn't even notice he had two different ones. So he kind of does have a form deck, but he switches. That's cool. And then flip to another boss deck. So now, using his Stagger Gun, he has Stagger Gun Burst, 3 speed for 2 damage, Stagger Stun, targets all hunters. Dashing Cleave, medium speed, 2 damage. At selection, before hunters attack, move Gurman 2 spaces away. All other hunters in the space he left move through or ended must dodge 2 or suffer 2 damage. Charged Slash, move, slow speed for 4 damage, cannot be staggered. His other one is Air Slash, medium speed, double hit, stun. All other hunters on a town must dodge 2 or suffer 1 damage and stun. Interesting. So that's the other side. We have this Transformed, his Burial Blade. So we don't have that. We don't have a hunter that has that, I don't think. Then switch to his regular Burial Blade, and then switch to that deck. He has Stagger Gun Burst again. He has Sword Flurry, 3 speed for 2 damage. He has Double Swipe, medium speed, 2 damage, even if his attack is dodged or staggered. At medium speed, the hunter must dodge for 2 or suffer 2 damage. And then he has Dodge. At medium speed, before hunters attack, move Gurman 1 space away. So that's pretty neat. So instead of having like 2 phases where you defeat him once and he has a bunch of new attacks, like the hunters, he's going to be switching back and forth between multiple different attacks. I think that kind of makes him an interesting boss. Because it's going to keep you kind of on your toes, because you can't just be like, oh, I already know what his 4 attacks are, because at any point you can switch over and have a brand new deck of cards to fight against. Very interesting. Alright, so before we hop into the hunters, I'm going to keep holding them off from you guys. Let's look at the item cards really quick. We have Osefka's Blood Vial, which lets hunter turn heal 2 damage. We have the Bloodstone Shard. It says, may place an attack, may switch to slot to transform. On that slot, the attack does +1 damage. Empty Phasm Shell. On attack, get 1 extra speed, 1 extra damage. Beast Roar. Hunter's turn. Move all enemies in your space up to 2 spaces away. Carl Ruin Hunter. We have on attack, gain 1 speed. After the attack, may transform weapon for free. Carl's Ruin Guidance. Hunter's turn, clear 1 slot and move 2. Carl Ruin Eye. Hunter's turn, discard 1 card from your hand or return 1 card from your discard pile. A Call Beyond. Hunter's turn, deal 2 damage to all enemies in your space. And Blood Rapture. We have on kill, draw 1 card and heal 1. Then, additionally to that, we have 2 items. You can get the Repeating Pistol. When an enemy makes a basic attack, automatically stagger, which is the same as your standard pistol, but the difference is, and why you might want it, is because it says, Hunter's turn, discard 1 card to refresh, or for free when you transform. So what's nice about having this one, and kind of like the Evelyn's pistol is the same way, is, versus the standard one, is it gives you an alternate way to refresh your card. If you're transforming a bunch, this just helps you out rather than having to keep discarding cards. And then we have the cannon. You may use to make the following attack. Slow speed for 3 health for 3 damage. And then Hunter's turn, discard 2 cards to refresh. It's a little bit harder to get, but it does an extra damage versus just staggering. So those might be 2 other rewards you can get. Which for the fact is, most hunters start with only the regular hunting pistol, so this is actually kind of nice to get alternates for them. But you might end up, let's say if I'm playing the person that has a repeating pistol to start with, they can definitely just swap that change to somebody else when you trade. Alright, mini boss setups. We want to finish with that, guys. We already went through that, explains how to set that up and how to do all that. Not going to get into that too much. And then we have the mini boss spawn deck. So we have 2 winter lanterns, one for each miniature, 2 executioners, and then we have our hunters. We have saw cleaver, threaded cane, Legwood's holy blade, and hunter axe from the base set. Beast claw, rifle spear, chiggig, and stake driver from the chalice, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guns. So, yeah, so that's kind of cool to get all those. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at those hunters. Alright, so let's take a look at the hunters here. Now, I have a couple of really unique things about this. One, I like that all the mini bosses, even in the 2 enemy ones, not the hunter ones, all have just 10 HP. It just makes them so, like, you know that that's the difficulty in general for all of them, versus, oh, this one has 8, this one has 10, this one has 14, or, you know, variable amounts, because in that way you'd have to kind of be like, oh, some might be technically easier than other because of less health, regardless of what their abilities are. 2, all the hunters have a transform ability. So it's just flip this card open, flip another aim activation. So they're gonna have both sides of their cards. That really is a cool idea. So you gotta use both sides throughout the game. It makes them a little bit more, even more challenging because you don't know what's gonna come up. And then lastly is we have we have all their miniatures. So the miniatures are the exact same ones as the hunters you're gonna play. Same size, same everything else. They're just gray instead of the like oranges tan colors that you get for your characters. But again, when you're playing yours, you have the little bases you put on the bottom. So if I'm fighting if I'm playing as Saw Cleave Hunter and we're fighting against them, they not only they just be different colors, you'll have the bases in case you get around to painting them. I do like the fact that they included miniatures for each of the different hunters, because it would have been so easy just to been like, oh, you already have the game, right? So, like, you have the core game. Just go ahead and use the core game ones. You just can't use that hunter this turn. You know, it's just eliminated one of the characters. And they'd be like, oh, what about the ones for the other expansion you didn't have? Or if you didn't buy the other expansions yet. They'd be like, just use a random hunter model for that. It's not going to make a difference. And they could have done that. That would have been entirely... It would have worked. You know, you could have just been like, oh, I just gotta use that hunter for this one instead. The only problem is of the mini-bosses, almost all of them are hunters. So if you also trying to use one miniature, like if I was trying to use a Saw Cleave miniature to represent, you know, the Beast Claw Hunter, because I didn't have that set, it might get confusing if you have a different guy that doesn't also match their card. So then you'd have too many. So it is nice they included all of them for that reason. Alright, let's go ahead and look at these guys quick. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just look at the miniatures and then we'll go through the cards. So I have to keep flipping them back and down. If you've been watching all the other videos, you've seen all these, especially watched the core one. So here's our Hunter Axe. The only thing that would have been really cool with these guys would have been if these would have been the alternate forms. Like this would have been, they would have made these like, oh, here's what their weapons transformed, and then you had one set of miniatures with one set with the other, and then you could decide which one you wanted to use as your main character and which one you wanted to use as the enemies. That would have been really cool. So these are Legwood's Holy Blade. The other one was, sorry, I didn't say the Threaded Cane, who's also carrying his cannon. Then for the Chalice Dungeon ones, we have the Chickage Hunter. You're like a pirate. I love the different styles and designs of all these characters. We have the Beast Claw Hunter. Some big giant bone claws, but he also looks like he's a little bit possessed there. We have the Rifle Spear Hunter. And then, finally, for the main box, we have the Stake Driver Hunter, who has one of the revolving pistols. We did see the repeating ones. We have one of these hunters that starts, like, in the regular game would have started with the repeating one starts with the cannon, which are 2 of the cards we unlocked. Alright, so since I'm showing off all the characters, I don't have to stop and do that. We can kind of just fly through their abilities a little bit quicker. So the Saw Cleave Hunter says basic cleaver slash, 2 speed, 3 damage. If used immediately after transform, it gains 1 speed, stagger, and stun. So if he like switches out. Special is his Hunter Pistol. He does 3 for 2 damage, stuns, and he transforms. If you defeat him, he gives you the Carl Ruin Hunter. And they're always going to give you the same rewards. Alright, so he keeps his Hunter Pistol as basic, which is a quick cut, 3 speed and 2 speed. If used immediately after transform, gain +1 speed, stagger, and stun. So, not like a ton of differences. It's a different speed for less damage. It's basically what you're getting. But, you know, that's kind of, if you look at the Hunter cards, it's the idea. You're getting that little bit of a difference there, too. Sometimes one of the 3 abilities is different. Hunter Axe Hunter. It's funny to say. He is Whirlwind. Slow speed for 3 damage. After the Hunter attacked, if his attack was not staggered, all Hunters within 1 space must dodge 1 or suffer 2 damage. Now, I'm going to assume, even though it says all Hunters, I would assume it only classifies as player Hunters, not if there's another mini-boss Hunter. But if you want to play it counts any other Hunter as well, you could. And he just attacks Hunters regardless if they're other mini-bosses or not. He just considers them other characters. Special, a Call Beyond, which is fun. That's one of the item cards you can get. Where did I put all those? So I love when they do stuff like that, like a Call Beyond. It's just fun when you have like his ability trigger something like that. It's kind of neat. 2 speed, 2 damage, stagger, stun, targets all Hunters in his space, and then he transforms, and he gives you his Call Beyond. You defeated him, now he drops his item for you. So his other different ones, basic Rally Strike, medium speed, 3 damage. Attack deals any damage. Hunter Axe heals 1. It's very, very cool. The Threaded Chain Hunter was basic Lashing, 2 speed, 3 damage. Used immediately after transform. For any attacks, all Hunters within 1 space must dodge for 2 or suffer 2 damage. Special is his Cannon. 1 speed does 3 damage, which is the same as what the cannon can do. So like again, like nice, just like keeping that same abilities on stuff. Stun targets all Hunters in this space, and he gives you the cannon firearm. So then his new basic is now Chain Thrust. 1 attack, or 2 speed, 3 damage. If immediately after transform, block 2 from Hunter's attacks. I think generally only the first thing is going to change, because that's their weapon transforming. Now they could have given him a 3rd ability, 2 basic attacks, and a 3rd thing, and then just had something that's like, oh, after they do their ability, they transform. And then they could have done that instead of even giving him an item. That would have been a different route to go. But we have Ludwig's Holy Blade Hunter. Basic Overhead Slam. Slow speed for 4 damage. Stun if used immediately after transform. Cannot be staggered. Special is a Phantasm Shell. Ludwig's Holy Blade makes 1 overhead slam attack with 1 speed and 1 damage. So basically just try and kill you with that. Then we flip to the other side. Instead we have basic combo for us because she pulls a short sword. Or her big giant sword. So 2 speed, 3 damage. Immediately after transform, gains 1 speed, cannot be damaged. And then instead, Phantasm Shell gives her other ones a boost. And then she gains the Phantasm Shell reward. Alright, for the Chalice Dungeon Hunters, we have the Chickage Hunter, has parry and slash, medium speed, 3 damage, blocks 1 damage from Hunter's attacks. Uses a Hunter Pistol, which does medium speed, 2 damage, and staggers. And then she gives out the Blood Rapture. And then this is Jaw and Slash, 2 damage, 3 speed. If immediately after transform, attack suffers -1 speed but deals 2 additional damage. So it's kind of fun. Also, you need to not every single one of these guys is just after it transforms, it does something. So that's kind of fun. Some of them do, because it really works with the theming of that's the whole point of them, but it's nice to not all of them. Beast Claw Hunter says Bestial Fury, 2 speed, 2 damage. Has 4 or more damage, its attack does +2. 7 or more, its attack cannot be dodged or staggered. And special is Beast Roar, all hunters in 1 space suffer stun. And then he gives out the Beast Roar. The Hunter Claw is basic quick slash, 3 speed for 2 damage, immediately after transform, stagger, and stun. And then we have Rifle Spear Hunter, Rifle Shot, medium speed, 3 damage. If used immediately after transform, before any attacks, Hunter must dodge 2 or their attack is staggered and they suffer a stun. He has the Blood Vial at slow speed before a Hunter's attack. Rifle Spear Hunter moves 1 space away and heals 2 damage. And he gives out Osufka's Blood Vial. On the other side, his basic turns go Lunging Thrust, 2 speed, 2 damage. After this attack, move Rifle Spear Hunter 1 space away. So he's going to keep backing up. Of course, he has a rifle and a spear. Why would you want to be next to you? Then the last one we have is Stake Driver Hunter. Stake Slash for 2 damage, 2 health, and special repeating pistol. 3 speed, 2 damage. Stagger unless there's the last card shuffle. Shuffle a special card back in the enemy action deck. And of course gives out the repeating pistol. On the other hand, we have Detonate. Slow speed for 5 damage. Stun cannot be staggered. After this attack, flip this card over. Which works like her ability does. Or his ability does on the regular card. After you usually just flip it over because they have less stuff. So that is what we have for the main core box of Hunter's Dream. So we are going to take a look at the extras and see what Kickstarter bonus. So this was a Kickstarter because what they like to do is, CMON, is when they release sets that are going to retail, like Hunter's Dream or Kanehurst, they like to include some sort of Kickstarter incentive bonus to get people to buy it during the campaign, as opposed to just buying the exclusive stuff and then waiting until retail to buy these. So if you bought this during that, what we are going to get in here is 7 new enemy miniatures, which are their enemy boss cards. It's for the 7 other hunters. 4 of them, or sorry, 6 of them are from the Blood Moon Kickstarter stretch goal box, and then 1 of them was the Kanehurst Forsaken reward. Again, you don't need any of those to use these guys. That's just kind of nice. You can just pick this up if you have these. Or even also nice is, unfortunately, it says you do need Bloodborne Game Plus. You also do need the Hunter's Dream set to play this. Unless you want to make up your own cards, because it only has 7 mini boss cards, so you wouldn't have any of the nuns to add in to finish off the rest of the set. But that could be easily worked. You could just make your own cards, or determine something else as a way to play them if you still want to. This little box here is super expensive to get, so it's really up to you if you want. It adds more mini bosses, but if you're not going to enjoy the mini bosses to begin with, it might not make sense. Unless you're buying this as in a big bundle pack, or buying it with Hunter's Dream. If you're looking at buying it separate, I would almost recommend buy Hunter's Dream first, play against the mini bosses, see if you like them, and if you do, then you can justify if it's worth getting 7 more of them. But if you're like, no, the core game's already too hard, I don't want to have more, don't spend this. I think this box, it can get pretty darn expensive, and I think the only way you're going to get it cheaper is by buying it generally in a bundle with everything else. But that's, again, even all the Kickstarter exclusives get expensive. Alright, let's dive in. Alright, to start this one quick, let's look at the spawn cards, just so we see what we have here. So we have the Conqueress, the Blade of Mercy, the Uncanny Holy Blade, the Kirk Hammer, Largus's Wield, the Burial Blade, which is what our boss used there, the first hunter, and then the Reeker Polish, which is this will be the one from the Forsaken Kanehurst set, and all the rest are from the Blood Moon. So we get another repeating pistol, I'm not going to look into that too much, so we just get another one of those as an option. And then we have some new items. We have Executioner's Glove. It says Hunter's Turn. Slay one enemy within 2 spaces that has 2 or less remaining HP. The Ruin of Odin's Wraith. Attack gains stagger, and a stagger attacks to the same speed. Claw Mark Ruin. Attack, replace your stat card with the +1 damage and stagger. The Communion. Hunter's Turn Heal 2. The Old Hunter Bone. When you are attacked, automatically dodge their attack. And the Tiny Tauntaurus, which says, deal 2 damage to a non-boss enemy with 1 space, does not activate. So, cool that all 7 of these guys, plus the original 8 guys, and then the 2 other the 4 other treasures they get, the 3 other, from the other 2 enemies. So all the mini-bosses together have all different effects except for that one repeating pistol. I wish they would have either given them a different item card or one of the other weapons. There's like 2 other weapons they could have given out, I believe. So that would have been, I think that would have been more interesting instead of having one guy have the same exact mechanic. Because you could end up, as unlikely as it might be, unless you're playing with more than 2 guys. If you're playing with 4 or 5 or whatever, you're really crazy. You could have been playing 2 different mini-bosses. You could end up both of them giving you repeating pistols, unfortunately. Alright, so let's take a look at our guys here. We're going to start with, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at all the miniatures first, I think. Just to kind of get them out of the way. So we have the Ripping Plausius. So he's got like a gun sword. We have the Burial Blade. This is the big giant scythe. Now again, it would have been kind of cool if they would have had just like in the transform state where it was down. Versus open. So it didn't match the other guy as much. We have the Logorus's Wheel. Which this guy just beats you with a big giant blunt wheel. I do love the different style of weapons in the game. That's crazy though. The Kirkhammer. Which I believe, like, I think it folds down in and becomes a sword or a mace rather than a hammer. I don't remember. That's what I would have loved. So it's always one thing they can do if they ever make the Old Hunters expansion of the game. They could release like alternate miniatures. This is the Ludwig's Uncanny Holy Blade. So this is what I mean though. So like, let me grab that one. Where's the other Holy Blade? So this is the regular Holy Blade. And this is the uncanny one. But it's the same idea. Is it has a sheath that the tiny sword goes into. And this should have been cool if we would have gotten, again, even if you did like this, where I would have loved if we were on the same miniature so you could have one for either. Even if you did one hunter of a different type for each one, so you could have different styles, it's still pretty cool. We have the Blade of Mercy. So like 2 little daggers. Oh, this guy's the poison mask and like the feathers. It's also really cool not just to show off the different weapons for the game, but show off all the different styles of outfits you can get. And then we have the Tauntaurus Hunter, who we can get the tiny Tauntaurus from. Just a giant mace. Anyway, look at the actual hunter cards in the expansions. You'll get to see what both sides look like. So if you want to see what they look like untransformed, go check out those videos. The Blood Moon or the Forsaken Canehurst. Alright, so what do we have here? So we have the Reeker Polish Hunter has Quick Silver Shock. 2 speed, 2 damage. If used immediately after transform, Hunter must dodge at fast speed or suffer 2. The Executioner's Glove. 2 damage, 2 speed, 2 damage cannot be dodged or staggered. And then he gives out the Executioner reward. Other side is other option is the Deadly Riposte. 2 speed, 3 damage. If you use after transform, stack gains 1 speed and stagger. I don't think many enemies hand out stagger too often. They hand out stun. But I don't think a lot of them hand out stagger. It's more of a hunter ability. Some do, just not a lot of them. We have the burial blade. So there's blade slash, 2 speed, 2 damage. After transform, gains 1 speed and blocks 2 from the hunter's attack. The old hunter's bone special. Automatically dodge hunter's attack. Move burial blade. Hunter 1 space away. He hands out the old bone. On his flip side, he switches to the arcing cleave. Slow speed for 3 damage. Targets all hunters within 1 space. If you use the immediate electric transform, all hunters suffer 1 damage. The Logorous Wheel Hunter, who has Empowered Bash. 2 speed, but for 4 damage. Stun. On attack, Logorous Wheel suffers 1 damage. Interesting, that's a neat mechanic. And then Communion. Wheel heals him for 1 damage, and he flips another action card. So he does his attack, and he does damage, because he's probably hurting himself by swinging this giant wheel, but he gets to heal afterwards. Or he has Bash, which does 2 speed, 2 damage, and attack heal. So he has ways to keep healing himself back up. The Kirkhammer Hunter. Crushing Slam. Slow speed for 4 damage. Stun cannot be staggered. And Odin's Wraith. Or Wraith. Kirkhammer makes a Crushing Slam attack against stagger, and may stagger attacks of the same speed. He hands out an Odin's Wraith. On the other side, we have Combo Flourish. 2 speed, 3 damage. If after transform, adds 1 speed and cannot be damaged. He goes from a slow, massive hammer to a quick blade, it looks like. Ludwig's Uncanny Holy Blade Hunter. I think they just added Uncanny in there, so you know there's a different card and character than the other one. Uncanny Slam does 2 speed, 3 damage, stun, and Repeating Pistol. 3 speed, 2 damage, stagger, unless the last card, shuffle it into the back of the enemy's action deck. And hands out the Repeating Pistol. On that side, we have Combo Flourish. 2 speed, 3 damage. If after transform, gains 1 speed and cannot be dodged. Alright, the Blade of Mercy. Parry Strike. 3 speed, 2 damage. Gives plus 1 damage for each speed faster than the hunter's attack. And then Claw Mark. Blade of Mercy makes a Parry Strike attack. Gains plus 1 health or damage and stagger. He hands out their Claw Mark Ruin. On the other side, we have Blade Fury. 3 speed, 2 damage, does plus 1 for each damage faster than the hunter's attack. So, what is different there? Parry Strike, plus 1 damage for each faster than the hunter. Does plus 1 for each attack faster than the hunter. So, unfortunately, this is one of the ones where, like, they're the different names, but they're the exact same effects. But some of the hunters, even themselves, have stuff like that. And then our last hunter is going to be the Taunterous Hunter. It says the Taunterous. 2 speed, 2 damage. If used after transform, gains a speed and 2 damage. And the Hunter's Pistol, 3 speed, 2 damage, and stagger. Hands out the Tiny Taunterous. I keep adding. Oh, yeah. I keep adding Taunterous. Yeah, there's a T in there. And then the other side looks like the exact same thing, unfortunately. So, like, what I would have done with those last two, then, is if you wanted your regular ability to stay the same, change out their special. I get the idea as a special is supposed to be their secondary item, but, like, that could have been a neat thing to at least have done for a couple of the characters. Even like the down the one with the Repeating Pistol instead of doing a Repeating Pistol. Could have been a neat mechanic, just a thing of where they would have been like, when you flip that, instead of having the base attack or special hunter, have one side is a pistol and the other side is one other item to show that some hunters might use a different item instead of using their guns, because you can kind of play with that as well. But yeah, that's what we have for the Hunter's Dream Extra, as well as the Hunter's Dream Expansion. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all that. Some mini bosses. I think it's a very neat idea, adding some extra ones in there. Ideally, to do basically kind of the same idea with any other character, any other miniature, and just give them a lot more health. Take any other guy and give them 10 health instead of 2. You can have any character become a mini boss. The Scourge Beast, or like the child, like the Eyes of Ram or whatever. So that could be a neat thing you could do too. Or possibly, I don't know how it would work for the bosses, but you might be able to even take one of the bosses and just drop their health down to 10 and make them a little mini boss with some of their cards and just each turn flip over one of their attacks. They might not work to some of their attacks unless you're involving them having multiples of those things, but that could be an interesting idea too. Alright, so if you want, you can check out part 2. It's a little bit longer video, but part 2 we're going to go over the Hunter's End, which is the end chapter. So not a side chapter, but an end bonus chapter. So if you want to check that out, come back and see that video. Bye.